In the later half of June, I read 23 books. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. This is Jenny Reads Maybe, where maybe I read or maybe I don't. For today's video, we are going to be doing my end of month wrap up for the month of June. So I thought I would start with some stats. So for the first half of the month of June, I read 11 books. Total for the month of June, I read 34 books, which means in the later half of June, I read 23 books. I don't know how that's physically possible, but it just so happens that it happened to me. I had a lot of hits, some misses, but I'm gonna try to rapid fire through these because I don't feel like talking for like 40 minutes on all of these books. So I have my laptop with my thoughts kind of typed out very briefly. We will start with the first book I picked up in the second half of June, and that is Bite the Ice by L.A. Cotton. This is a short little prequel novella in the Lakeshore U series, and it focuses on Ella and Connor's love story. I don't remember much of this. It was a Halloween party. I gave it 3 stars. I feel like it was probably cute in the moment. I just wish there was more, obviously. My second read was Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young, and I ended up also giving this one 3 stars. I enjoyed my time reading this, but there was just something missing for me. But this follows Chloe and Warren, who are both guardians of their younger siblings, and a program in the foster care system sets them up to help. Chloe needs money for rent. Warren needs a place to stay with enough rooms for him and his brother. They each have what the other needs, and they come together and they kind of work through that together while falling in love, despite the fact that Warren doesn't want to like Chloe because she's sort of the opposite of him. This was good, as I said, just wasn't my favorite. So there was that. Next, I picked up Goldilocks and the 3 Sexy Bear Shifters by Lacey Jane. And I'm not embarrassed to admit I gave this 4 stars. This book was really hilarious and just a super quick, like short, smutty, paranormal romance bear shifter novella. And it was just fun. I'm giving it 4 stars because I enjoyed my time. And I'm looking forward to reading other like sexy retellings by this author. Next, I picked up Sailor Proof by Annabeth Albert, and I gave this one 4 stars. Now, this has been on my physical TBR for a year and a half, and I'm so glad I finally got to it. I listened to it primarily on audio, though I do own it physically, and I really enjoyed the audio. This follows Derek and Arthur. Derek is serving in, I believe, the Navy on submarines, and he is returning home. And they have this like tradition of the first greeting / first kiss of like the naval officers. And it just so happens that the guy who wins the first kiss this round of returns is kissing Derek's ex-boyfriend. Now Derek wants to make him jealous and make him think that he's moved past their breakup and their like horrible relationship. So he manages to convince his best friend to find somebody to help him. And the best friend suckers his younger brother into being the greeting for them. And so they greet each other and they kiss, and there's a cute little sign. And from there, the family, because his best friend's little brother, like their whole family is there to greet the brother. And they get roped into like a fake dating situation, which turns into them fake dating at like a week-long family reunion camping trip where they have to stay in only one cabin with only one bed, and they basically fall in love and like go through the drama of like the family and being together while dealing with their one bed and like their rising sexual attraction to each other. This was a fun time. I'm really glad I read it, and I really want to read the second book because it's about his best friend, and his best friend just won me over. Next, I read A Rogue's Rules for Seduction by Ava Lee. This was the last book in the Last Chance Scoundrels series by her. I've now read all 3 of them. I love them. I gave this one 5 stars. Dom and Willa simply own me. I love everything about them. It is a second chance, opposite attracts romance, historical romance, and Dom is like the came up through like rags to riches story. Like his dad ended up getting a lot of money and kind of sending him through schooling and getting him educated, but he can't forget who he was before all that money. Willa is like rich. She is the daughter of somebody like high class, and they're originally, so in the very beginning of the series, in the first book, it starts with Dom running away from their wedding and like basically jilting Willa. Now Willa has returned home from her time on the continent, and they are suckered into being at the same like 2-week-long party on this island, and they can't escape, and they just kind of are brought together with this forced proximity, and they fall in love, this time with their real selves, and it was so sweet and so good. I love this series. I'm definitely going to be picking up more by Eva Lee. I can't wait. Like, her writing just is chef's kiss to me. Next, I picked up Icebreaker. No, I picked up Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and I gave this 5 stars. I'm not going to share my full thoughts because I did post them in the vlog where I read 3 books recommended to me by Dorothy from Tales from the TBR. So those 3 were Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. They were Mile High by Liz Tom Ford and Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Icebreaker I gave 3 stars, Mile High I gave 4 stars, and if you want to see more of my thoughts and the kind of in-depth thoughts as I was reading, you can go check out that vlog that I posted last week. Next is Second Semester by QB Tyler. I read First Semester last month and have kind of been wanting to continue on in the series, so I picked this one up. I liked it a lot more than I liked the first one, and this one follows Landon and Serena, and this is a dad's best friend / dad's like business partner romance, and it was very fun. It was very steamy, but there was also the perfect amount of angst for me, because I feel like even though the last one was forbidden because it was student teacher, this one just had that extra bit of forbiddenness because it was her dad's best friend, and she was like coming into it like as a virgin. So I really enjoyed this. I had a fun time. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm excited for the 3rd book, and even more just to read more of QB Tyler's backlist. Next, I picked up On Thin Ice by L.A. Cotton. Now, I was given an advanced listener's copy from Forever and Always PR, so I want to thank them for sending that my way. I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's like a grumpy sunshine coach's daughter opposites attract college hockey romance, and it follows oh my gosh, Mason and Harper, and I just love their story. Mason is like super grumpy, and he has kind of a lot on his shoulders because he thinks that he has to take care of his mom and his brother after his dad left them. His brother is on the spectrum, and he kind of goes through, and he's the person that his brother relies on most. And it turns out that Harper is going to be working with his brother, and he just thinks Harper is a puck bunny, and it's a very great romance. I had a really great time reading it and listening to the audio. I was obsessed while listening to this. Next, I picked up The Fiancee Farce by Alexandria Belfleur. Now, I've been wanting to pick this up since it came out and just haven't had the time, but I finally got my hands on the audio through my Libby, and I'm giving this one 4 stars. It is a sapphic marriage of convenience romance, which is really like, it doesn't happen a lot, and so it's a newer kind of concept, or like a newer take on the typical marriage of convenience. I really like this one. Tansy and Gemma were just kind of super sweet with each other, and I liked their like romance overall. I did feel like it was a little bit long. It was 400-ish pages, and it just was missing that extra oomph. I've loved the Written in the Stars series. I think I gave all of those like 4.5, 5 stars. So The Fiancee Farce, maybe I'll reread it and I'll like it more, but 4 stars. It was good. I definitely recommend it. Then I picked up Glitterland by Alexis Hall. This was one of my TBR picks for this month, and I gave this one 5 stars. The bipolar depression rep to me was really great, and I just felt really seen while reading it as somebody who lives with bipolar disorder. And I really liked and enjoyed the aspects of the story that it was really opposites attract, where it was like a bougie author like with a fancy like British accent falling for like the model like unintelligent. It was just really sweet. I really liked it. I liked how it ended. I liked how everything came together, and it was just exactly what I was looking for in that moment. The audio was really good. I definitely recommend, especially if you are not from England, because the accents really play heavily into like the audio. So I definitely recommend it. Next, I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I am firmly on the side that I love this. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely love Violet. I loved Xaden. I loved the dragons. I loved everything about this. It was just written for me, basically. Now, this follows Violet, who is thrust into the writer's quadrant at BESTIE, like, training school. And because her mother is like a high up general and wants her daughter to be a writer, despite the fact that Violet is living with what in the book is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it was just really good. I loved how Violet progressed through the school year. I loved like the elements of the school. I find that I really like boarding school training. Like, it was giving me very much Skyward by Brandon Sanderson vibes, where they're training to defeat something, like their enemy. And I just loved all the twists and turns of this. I screamed at the ending. I can't wait for book 2. I definitely recommend this if you're newer to fantasy romance and not looking for a ton of like Brandon Sanderson like style, like world building, while also there being world building. So 5 stars. Can't wait for the second. I'm very excited. Next, I read Greedy by Jen Winston. This was my nonfiction pick of the month. It focuses on kind of her coming to understand that she's bisexual and coming out, while also dealing with like the ramifications of that and different aspects. I really enjoy this. I'm not going to read it because it is a nonfiction and because it is like really based on her life. But I read it. It was good. I recommend it if you're looking for sort of LGBT nonfiction and like essay topics about coming out and like the experience of not necessarily knowing that you're bisexual or wanting to acknowledge that until later in life. Then I picked up Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It follows Evie and Mateo. Evie is a witch and Mateo is a werewolf who has been cursed to not shift, and Evie is going to break the curse that is placed on him. And so they are like forced to spend time together because Mateo's wolf really enjoys Evie's company. And it was very good. It was a good start to the series. I'm excited to continue because I find that I really am interested in what's going to happen with certain sisters in the series. And I just generally had a good time. Then I read the entire Lost Boys and Neverland series by Nikki St. Croix, which is The Never King, The Dark One, Their Vicious Darling, and The Fae Princes. I gave all of these books 4 stars. They were really quick listens. I listened to them on audio. I really loved the story and how it progressed, and it was just like a fun, quick like series to read. And I love like the dark romance elements of a Peter Pan and the Lost Boys retelling. And so yeah, I definitely recommend this if you're kind of looking for fantasy romance that's really light on the fantasy and more heavy on like the dark romance. So yes, 4 stars for all of them. I love them. Then I read Tentacles and Teeth by Rowan Merrick, and this one I gave 4 stars as well. This is a MMF romance with a werewolf and a fae who can like bring out tentacles, and then a human. It is a very smutty, fun time. There were just like a lot of fun elements to this. Tentacles, obviously, werewolf, and as well as like running, and 2 besties sharing the same person. It was a good time, and I can't wait to read more in this series. It was hot. That's all I'll say. Then I read Damaged Like Us by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and I gave this one 4 stars. So this was the book club pick for the book club I host with my friends, Kelsey, Dorothy, and Zoe. I'll leave their channels linked down below. So this was for the Kiss and Tell book club. I gave it 4 stars. It follows Mafi and Pharaoh. Mafi is the son of parents from the Addicted Calloway series. I'm not certain which ones because I haven't read the Addicted Calloway series and I can't remember at this time. But he is the son, so he's really famous, and Pharaoh is his bodyguard. So this is a bodyguard romance and forbidden, and they end up falling in love and spending a bunch of time together. It was very interesting. The authors say that you can read this series without reading the Addicted Calloway series, but I think that it would have made it more enjoyable to know more of the background, because even though they give you some background, it's very minimal, and it really does have a huge impact on how like Mafia interacts with the world. So I think I would go back and read the Addicted series first before reading this, just so I can kind of get an like understanding of his parents and why he's in this situation. But I gave it 4 stars. The ending of this has me intrigued for how the series will go, and I know you have to read this in order specifically to get through like the general plots of the couples. Then I picked up The Clover Chapel by Daphne Perry. This is part of the Daphne Perry read-along that I host with Dorothy from Tales from the TBR. And I gave this one 4 stars. It follows Emmy and Nick. Emmy and Nick get married in Vegas, and Nick leaves her. And they don't reunite. They don't see each other for 9-10 years. And then Emmy moves to this small Montana town to kind of run away from her life in New York. And Nick is there, and they kind of fall back in love. And it follows their falling for each other again while also dealing with like Emmy's current partner. And like there's elements of the Clifton Forge series that come in. It was a fun time and I enjoyed it. Not my favorite Daphne Perry, but definitely a good time. So I definitely recommend it. And then the final book that I read was an audio provided to me by Always and Forever PR company. And that was Wicked Heinous Heirs. This is the novella to the Wicked Heirs series, or All Hallows Heirs series, and it follows Reese and Olivia, and it kind of sets up where their story is in their duet. So I definitely recommend reading this first. It was a good time. I gave it 4 stars. I like screamed at the end. It was only 54 pages, but I really enjoyed my time. So that is it for my month of June. Comment down below if you've read any of these books and what you've thought of them, or if you want to read any of these books. And if you can't think of anything to comment down below, you can comment down below a black heart for Wicked Heinous Heirs by Caitlin Dare. And yeah, that's it for me today. I will see you guys later. I love you and bye. Mwah!
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.